episode of Webinar Wednesday. Today we are going to be talking about how to develop your A+ content and also your storefront if you're brand registered. So, hi Mark, Kevin, how's it going?
Hello, I'm well. Is Kev still with us or is he frozen?
I think Kev is frozen. He's been having connectivity issues today, so he seems to be frozen. Kev, can you hear us?
No, he's not.
No.
We'll go on without him.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. So, but before we get our guest on, and we have Aaron Hughes from Ecommerce Wala joining us today, but before we get him on, we just wanted to talk a little bit about this sing-a-thon that is happening this Saturday. So we are hosting a charity sing-a-thon in association with a charity organization in India called Dipalya. And it's an 8-hour live and virtual sing-a-thon. How are we going to survive for 8 hours, Mark? I don't know.
I don't know. I've got a few plans. I'm going to make a big pot of chow mein and have it on the stove so I can race out and get my lunch. And I've got a few plans underway.
Yeah, but it's very exciting because we've got singers from so many different countries, from the US, UK, Singapore, India, the Philippines, Australia. We've got singers from so many countries coming over to speak. Most of them are live. Some of them are sending in recordings because of the time difference. But most of the singers are live, and it's just going to be so exciting. We've also got a 10-year-old girl who's going to be singing, and she is actually the daughter of one of our Vis suppliers, and she's a budding singer. So, if you want more information about this event, head over to our page, facebook.com India Sourcing Network, and you'll see the event right at the top on the page. Press going on the event so that you can receive notifications when we are going to go live. But if you're in Australia, then this happens Saturday morning, 10 a.m. AEST. And if you're in the US, then it's Friday evening, May 21st. It starts from 8 p.m. Eastern time. So it should be a lot of fun. It's the first time
we're doing. Yeah. I can't wait because we've got some really good singers. I mean, it's really interesting. Some of the people that we've been speaking to, I think it should be really fun.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of the singers, their entire family sings basically. They've got 6 kids and the father, they're all singers. And they've been performing for, 2 decades or so. They do live shows. So, yeah, very good quality singers. Okay, so let's get started with the show now. I'm not sure where Kevin is. I think he's still having connectivity issues, so we'll have to just wait for him. Yeah, but I'm going to invite Aaron on screen now. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot for joining us. Yeah, great to see you, Aaron. Great to see you again. So, Aaron, do you want to first of all give a bit of an intro and tell people who you are, what you do?
Yeah, do you want me to just go ahead and start sharing? I have a little slide on that I can do. Let me just share my screen.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get started. And Mark, did you also want to give a little bit of an update on the HTML thing that's happening?
Yeah, look, if people haven't already heard about it, it's been sort of around a lot of the groups and in the Amazon pages that as I think it was July 17th, you won't be able to have HTML in your A+ content anymore. So people have really got to, I think, bite the bullet and get a trademark pretty quick and get their A+ content up, because what you're going to end up with is just basically a couple of lines of running phrases, nothing else. And Amazon say if it's got any tags in it, they can delete the line, they can delete the whole thing. So, I mean, it's not something you want to have when people are looking at your listing. So I think, it's worked out perfect that we've got Aaron on tonight, because those of you who don't want to, have a go at it yourself or don't have the time, Aaron can be a very busy boy for the next 8 weeks, I think. I think it's pretty important, because your listing without it is, you're just not going to stand out from the crowd. You're just going to have this, nothing listing. So I think it's, really, really important. And I've been hanging on it for a while about telling everyone to get this trademark, because I knew Amazon was going to do it one day, and it won't be long before I think the next step will be, if you're not trademarked, you're not selling on Amazon. So I think, you know, they're working their way towards it, really enforcing it. So I think it's, you know, it's coming pretty hard and fast. So back over to you, Aaron.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can.
All right. So
yep.
Yeah,
okay, there it is.
Like Margaret just said, this is good timing, I think, to talk about this. And just to preface, really my main focus is going to be like giving you an over-the-shoulder look at like some dummy EBC and storefronts that I have on my account. Because when Megal and I were talking about what to talk about, you know, we really started discussing, if you want to find out like why EBC or A+ content is good, or, you know, look at some example, like there's a plethora of podcasts and webinars and articles that talk about that. But really, one thing I've noticed is maybe the disconnect can be, okay, you've seen the webinars, you know what to do, but then how do you actually go in and edit your own A+ content? And how do you do the modules? How do you insert your images? What is the alt text, you know, part? So if you know, aren't brand registered or newly brand registered, this webinar will be pretty, I think, useful for you. If you've already started building out A+ and Storefront, maybe not so much. But we really wanted to give like a practical example of over the shoulder, how do you build your storefront ABC? Because, you know, that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. And like Margaret said, with them getting rid of, you know, even HTML text, your description is going to look like garbage without EBC. And so just a little bit about who
I just wanted to add to that, Aaron, that the reason we're doing this topic is because somebody or a couple of people actually in the group had asked for you know, information about A+ content, and they specifically asked how to navigate brand registry, or once you get brand registered, what are the next steps? So I think this is very different from all of the other content that's out there. It's just not about best practices, but this is about how to do it.
Right, and that's the other thing too, is, you know, even Megal was like, okay, talk about navigating brand registry and stuff, and I'm like, man, the last couple of years there are so many new features, and I'm not a professional on every single thing, and I understand as a brand owner, I have 2 of my own brands, and I'm the only I moonlight doing 4 or 5 hours a week, and so there's a million things that I could do, but I'm really going to try to focus on the most practical, like easy bite-sized steps for you to take to grow. Because, you know, you can talk about A/B split testing and all this stuff, and that's great, but odds are a lot of you that is not where you need to focus right now. It's on the basics of brand registry. And so I've been on the show before, so some of you know who I am, but just, you know, I like to joke around. So this is the Derek Zoolander quote there. If you haven't seen Zoolander, then you're missing out. But who am I? But I'm from Arkansas, from the States, and I came to India 7 years ago, originally as a sourcing agent, which I absolutely hate. And so I'm glad that Megal has got great partners there, because I never want to source for anyone else in my life. But that's what got me into the whole world of manufacturing products and how it all works. And ultimately, one day I started a leather company. I did Amazon completely backwards. I started a company trying to get people to my Shopify site, realizing how stinking hard that is, and, you know, begging mom and dad to like, hey, go buy a bag, you know. And so I've been selling Amazon for the past, since early 2018. So, man, over 3 years now. And I was just reminiscing, you know, putting myself in some of your shoes, you know, thinking back to like putting the FNSKU sticker on my product for the first time and shipping it to Amazon. I'm like, what is an FNSKU sticker, or FNSKU, or, you know, funny ways you pronounce it without hearing it. But 2019, we started Ecommerce Wallet, me and one of my local partners here. And really the purpose was to just kind of fill a gap that I saw as a seller myself. It seemed like I could go to Fiverr and I could get images for cheap, or I could, you know, pay thousands for some professional, you know, cute agency to do stuff for me. But there wasn't really a lot in the gap there as someone that was, you know, could fit like a budget friendly price, but still give me the quality that I need and kind of have the customer relationship, you know, that I wasn't getting in Fiverr and Upwork and these sites. And so that's really why we started. I love entrepreneurship, creating jobs. And so I wanted to create an agency that helped me employ people here in India. And so what our company does, we're kind of, you know, it's an ever evolving thing, but our core services are product photography and design, and then content writing using, you know, keyword research. all the tools that you guys have. And then we also do some management services as well, although it's not our main focus. And we also recently are starting to develop VA services for not even just Amazon sellers, but even brand owners in the States who need, data scraping to email services, that kind of stuff. And so we're trying to build out just kind of an all-in-one, extension of your business to really help you scale online. And so here's just a brief overview of today's talk. I'm going to talk about the perks of brand registry. Again, there's a lot. I have the list from Seller Central. There's no need for me to recreate what's already online, right? I'm going to talk about it briefly. And then as Margaret said, some of you probably need to start biting the bullet when it comes to getting a trademark. And if you haven't got one yet, you're very lucky because Amazon has the IP Accelerator program now. When I was trying to get a trademark, I had 1 or 2 failed attempts at the USPTO. The second one was a success, but I found out the hard way that a supplemental trademark doesn't count unless I wait 5 years. So then I paid, Trademark Angel to get me some German trademark that doesn't even work now, but it got me onto brand registry. So it's a little bit expensive, but you can get access to brand registry early if you go through Amazon's, vetted lawyers. So that's definitely worth checking out if you're not brand registered. And then, like I said, creating A+ content in Storefront. I'm going to show you the actual modules. Like, again, these modules are like super basic. I haven't actually built out a great storefront. The purpose of this is to show you how to build it. And then what you need to approach a photography agency. I almost said photography, which is how they say in India. But the main thing I want to emphasize too, and this may rub people the wrong way, I'm kind of a shoot from the hip kind of guy. You can ask anyone that knows me. But perfection is the enemy of progress. I have worked with a lot of sellers who ultimately, and some of it have even had to sell off their inventory because it didn't work, who spent hours and hours and hours on details that ultimately weren't that important. Like you want your brand to come across in a good way. Like I'm admitting that it's true, but perfection will keep you from really growing on Amazon. Your brand is an ever evolving thing. Your brand 2 years from now may look drastically different than what it does now. And so I implore you to not waste time in the weeds on what your logo looks like on an image and, this random spot of EBC. Focus on getting things out there as quick as possible and then evolve over time. A storefront, even if you have one product, is 1,000,000 times better than no storefront. And so even if your storefront is pretty rudimentary, it's going to be a higher converting and just overall protect your brand better, because if they just click your name, it's just going to take you to a Amazon list where your product along with other competitors are. And so, I don't want you to just waste all your time trying to perfect something that is going to look different in a year. I'm a big fan of get it out there, get the reaction from your customers, and then adapt. And that's okay if you don't agree with me. So this is a list, off Seller Central on what you can do with brand registry. And some of the stuff, I'm kind of an old dog, so some things change quickly. I think now, it says upload and manage videos, but I could be wrong. I think maybe some people have access to do this without brand registry. So forgive me if I, say some heresy or something. So I'm not going to talk about every little thing on here, but again, manage experiments. This is where you can A/B test. So if you develop a EBC content, you can do 2 different faces of it and see which one has a higher converting ratio. It's kind of like pick foo for your storefront or EBC content or anything like that. And then upload and manage videos. Again, going back to the perfection's the enemy of progress. When I first started, I went to a dinky little photo studio and made a quick little photo. I sell wallets. It's not a secret. Of me just putting cards in the wallet and just showing the wallet. It was not even a great video that we've now since are in the process of redoing. But that video really did help my conversion rate, even if it wasn't a super professional branded video, because I had a video as opposed to no video. So even if it's something simple, get out your phone, record yourself with the product in the meantime until you can get a professional video. But that's a really great way to show the customer what the product looks like. And you can also add videos to your storefront as well. Again, we'll talk about storefronts. Brand analytics is pretty cool, but I'm not going to lie, I'm not an expert in that. The other things, so Amazon Live, I've done a couple times, is pretty cool, where customers can, and it's like, Instagram Live, like you can create a live video. And a lot of people did this over Prime Day that really, helped them a lot with sales. But the other thing I want to talk about briefly that is not the Storefront or EBC is Amazon Post. And so these are relatively, from my understanding, these are really, really new things that have changed on Amazon recently. I've been doing Amazon Post for a while, when it kind of first came out, and then I kind of stopped doing it for a little while. But I've talked to several brand owners who have seen a lot of like increase in conversion through posts. And so, and as you know, Amazon's closing the door on a lot of ways to communicate with the customer. So this manage your customer engagement is actually a new thing where Amazon's going to allow, and again, I haven't done any of this yet, but in theory, you're going to be allowed to interact with email campaigns to people who follow your brand. And so I'll show you. If you go onto Amazon Post, it's basically like Instagram posts. So a lot of you brand owners that are already doing Instagram posts, this is super simple because you just take the same assets you're putting there, drag it here, tag your ASIN, create a caption, and post it. And you can actually start to see, you can track the engagement, like how many people are clicking on your post and all that stuff. But then what happens is, I'll go back to this stuff. Again, I picked some examples here, totally random. There's no reason for this. So, don't like think I'm weird for choosing certain examples. Well,
okay. While you're opening that up, Aaron, I just want to ask people, so all of you guys watching, let us know in the comments if you are brand registered. If you are brand registered, type yes in the comments. Just want to kind of see how many people are brand registered and can, relate to all of this.
Yeah, for sure. So if you see here, this is a random storefront I found. Post is now like added to your storefront on the very right. And then there's a follow button here. So the only way to engage with your customers through this new program is to have followers. And really the only way to get followers, I was even reading a post by someone I follow a lot recently that was talking about the new way to drive traffic, even for future product launches, is going to be sending them to places like your storefront so that you're more likely to get them to follow your store and your brand versus like a product detail page. And so here you can see some of these posts, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy, just take a picture. The point is to start creating content, and so you're likely to drive up the amount of followers. Now, I will say, just FYI, post is super finicky right now. Like the followers on my account got cut in half, and then it quadrupled. It's all just kind of messed up. As you know, there's a lot of glitches recently. And so this is a really cool feature that will help you build out your audience, an audience list that Amazon will actually let you interact with, which is super cool. Okay. So on the EBC, again, my job is to not try to recreate a webinar that's already been done. It's to practically show you, but just to give you an idea of what it looks like. This was one, a customer gave us permission to use this, which a lot of what we do, we can't show because we, respect people's privacy. But this was a A+ we did for a client. And the one thing I want to stress too is following a template from a professional is good. Like the Chris Rawlings video is amazing and he has a great template that you can use there. But I don't think you should feel pigeonholed to only use that formula, because there's a lot of different ways to create stunning A+ content. And really what we did here, a big part of this brand is the recipes people can make through it. And so we did kind of an interactive toolbar here to get people to engage with the brand that talked about the different recipes and things that you can make with this, the pork rinds breadcrumb stuff. And then we've got our comparison chart. If you have multiple products, this is a must-have to really educate customers on all your different product offerings and what's different about them. And so this is one that we did. This is a random one I found, and I just found it in 2 seconds. The reason I'm showing you is because I feel like it's probably a C grade A+. If not, it's a median, right? It's not amazing, but I'll show you what your listing will look like without it in a second, and why, even this sticks out. And you can make this in literally, 10, 15 minutes if you already have these assets. So I want to give people a realistic expectation of like, hey, even if you have something like this, it's going to be a lot better than your alternative. Now, I would suggest creating something like what I just showed you with the pork panko, where, it's a lot, the modules are kind of diversified, and there's a little bit more about the brand. But even this, in my opinion, is not a bad A+. It's just not, it's not great. I just randomly found it. But this is what it looks like when you don't have A+. Another random listing I found. And again, like Margaret said, this they have HTML in the back end here to separate this text. They're about to get rid of that. And so what that means is that it's just going to be one blob, like one continuous paragraph of text. And so the reason that stinks is because when you're scrolling down here, all you see are competitor products. Like nothing about your brand catches their attention, versus when you're on this listing, like you've got some stuff here, but they're also bidding on these spots too. So this brand is taking up a ton of real estate. And so that just means that competitors have a way less likely chance to convert off this listing because they don't have the real estate for it. And so, they're doing a really good job of taking up as much real estate as possible. And again, Megla, you can feel free to field questions if people have questions when I go through this. But I want to take you through the back end.
No questions yet. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so y'all can, if you have a specific question while I'm doing the modules, feel free to ask it. But again, I'm not going to spend the time to go through and do all of this exactly. But this is what it looks like to build your A+ content. And so you'll go to your A+ content manager, and I think in the top right, you can create like an A+ listing. And so I just named this dummy A+, but you may name it your product name or SKU number, something because when you start adding a lot of products, you want to make sure you're staying organized. But the first thing that most companies do, are you're going to put your company logo or some branded image in there first. And just a little trick of the trade that we started doing, if you actually go here to add module, this is what Amazon tells you is the company logo. And so your intuition's like, okay, well, I'll click this and I'll put my logo. The problem is, if you click this, when you go to Amazon, this image ratio is really small. And so all of your A+ content is going to be this width, right? But the standard company logo is like this, like half of this. And so it actually looks pretty bad if you use the company logo. And so, and you only have 7 modules. So what we do is we use either a standard image with overlay. It doesn't matter which one you use because you're not going to have text here, so that box won't be there. Or we use a standard image header with text. The main difference, and this is why I'm showing you this, because when you approach a photography agency, you really need to have a roadmap of what you want to do with your A+. And what's different about A+ versus your standard images is your standard image deck, they're pretty much all the same size and shape. We do 2000 by 2000 pixels. But on A+, there's a lot of different ratios of image sizes, and you can't just stick your image deck image here because it's going to look really bad. And so this, for example, is a 970 by 600 minimum pixel ratio. And you can upload bigger, but you just need to keep that ratio because when you drop an image that is a square image here, it's going to cut it off and it's going to look really bad. And so that's why it's important to follow the ratios. And whenever you're building your roadmap, you're basically just going to say module 1, I need my company banner 970 by 300 and kind of a description of what you're going to put in there. And this is the standard image with dark text overlay. Again, you could add text here, but we typically don't just because we're using this as a company logo. So we don't want this box to take up any part of the image. And so you would add your background image here. You can drag and drop. And you don't if you can use an image that isn't that size if you're okay with well, so even if I use this image, it would basically just crop it where maybe the hand is showing. And it may not look bad. I've done that before, just because it still shows the gist of what I want to get across with the image. And then the image keywords here, this is kind of like the alt text. And so really what you're supposed to do is describe what's happening in the picture. So like, for example, a blender on kitchen counter next to fruit, yogurt, orange juice, and a smoothie glass. Like you're just describing what's in the picture. And so it is a little bit important in terms of just getting your image found and like getting data behind it to put those in there. And then I like this module here, the standard for image and text. The reason being, it's a great way. Most people are doing an infographic, right? Where you have at least like 4 to 6 different call outs. And a lot of people have their product in the middle with the call outs around it. It's a pretty standard image style that everyone's doing. But the one caution here is that you don't want to add an infographic or anything with text here. These are a lot smaller sized images than your image deck. And so if you put an infographic here, no one is gonna read it, and they're gonna have to pull out their bifocals to really see what's going on. And so what we recommend with a lot of our clients, and what I do myself, is I basically break down my infographic. And so on the infographic, say you zoomed in to show the water repellent wax canvas. And so on this square, I'm just going to upload that image of the wax canvas with water droplets on it at this size ratio. And then I'm going to put, water repellent wax canvas. And the other thing I've seen someone do that is not good, you want your visuals to speak for you. Like, use as minimal text as possible, because your text here doesn't index anyway on the A+. Oh, and that's another thing before I forget, sorry, this is important. A lot of people don't realize when you do A+, you can still enter your description on the back end. So like your existing description that was there, leave it there, because that will still help with Google indexing. And so your A+ just takes place of your original description, but you should still leave that there because those keywords do index. And so keep your text minimal. Don't write 5 paragraphs here underneath this, because it's going to look really bad. You want your text here to be synergistic. So like if you do 4 or 5 lines, every square needs to have roughly the same amount of lines so that the A+ balances out. And then even, Chris talks about this in their groups, but giving an identity to your brand, I think, is really important. And so like in all of my A+, I talk about kind of why I started the company. I give an image of myself. You don't have to use an image of yourself. You can do whatever, but something to really help your customer, identify with you. And so this is a standard single image right here. Let me see. And so these are all the different modules that you can pick from. Again, don't use that one. This is the comparison chart that's really important. Now you can't use this is different than the comparison chart that Amazon can sometimes do on your listing where they show other competitors. I would mainly use this if you have multiple products, because even though my products aren't related at all, I put a wide variety of my products there. And I just put great gift for men or handmade and put check marks. And that way customers can click through to see other products of mine. And then let me see. This is the module that is interactive. So if you hover over it, it changes, the standard multiple image module. And then if you have something that's a little bit more technical, this is a really good module to have here. And that's what we used on this pork panko to talk about the nutritional background here. Whereas this is just more of a generic text here. And so that could be useful. It all just kind of depends on your product. And that's why I said, don't feel like you have to be pigeonholed to one specific template. Do what is best for your product and brand. And then the other thing, so on the comparison chart, again, with the sizing issue, is this is a 150 by 300. It's like a vertical rectangle. And so that's another thing that you have to watch out for when you're getting your images made, is you need to ask for these sizing of images. And your product may not always fit in here perfectly, especially if it's a square product. But I think it's okay to at least I prefer to have it as big as possible, even if it cuts off just a small bit of it, versus having it like really small and just sitting right in the middle of this. But it is kind of an awkward image length. But you can highlight certain columns of your comparison chart. And so if you want to focus on one specific product, you can do that. And then this may seem simple. This took me a while to figure out. So if you scroll to the right, there is actually a 6 thing here. So they give you up to 6 spots to put products. But if you don't realize that, you're like, oh, I only have 5. But you can clear them off if you don't need it. And then you just put your title and your ASIN here, and that's when they click through how Amazon will take them to that product detail page. And then we also put a little bit about the mission of our business too. I just like adding those personal aspects of what we do. If you have any like nonprofit initiatives and stuff like that, those are really good to talk about. And, you know, like I said in the beginning, don't feel like you have to, if you just have one product, you know, don't feel like you have to just have content for content's sake. I think it's good to use all the modules because that you're just taking up more real estate on Amazon. But again, get something out there. If you just want to put 5 modules, do it. You know, I'm just a fan of do it your own way and throw spaghetti against a wall, but I'm probably the minority. So should we take questions on A+ specifically before I move on to Storefront?
I don't see any questions. So yeah, guys watching, if you have any questions, type them in. Let us know if you have any questions about A+ before we move ahead. What about videos? What about videos, Aaron? No, you're not boring us.
So on your product listing page or on your storefront?
On the product listing page, in the A+ content over here.
Well, you can't add videos to your A+ content, but you can add it to your listing. Like these are all the modules here.
Okay, so you cannot add videos here.
Right, so you can add videos to your storefront into your product listing page. And so it'll show up on your image deck. The one kind of negative thing, like if you have like 7 images, you can still see the 7th image if you like click through the images, but let me try to show you an example on a video. So here the image kind of takes that 7th icon. And so if they have other images, in theory, you should be able to click through this and it brings up the photo browser. I don't know why it's not doing it, but I don't know, maybe I'm dumb. I don't think that's super intuitive. So if you have other images, some people may not see them just because they're not clicking the actual thing to see your image deck. But again, a video is important. So it outweighs that kind of, you know, negativity or negative downside. Does that make sense, Nicola?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just got to be careful with that. That you, like originally I had some of my dimensions in like my 6th and 7th image, so I had to change those dimensional photos back into the first few images, so because they were just getting lost. Like Aaron says, I mean, you can find them, but you've got to, I suppose, know how to click on the images and bring them up, and then you can see them all. I've still got actually 8 images on all mine. They've never taken any down. But right. You've got to be the person who knows how to drive the search, you know, which I don't know whether customers know that or not. It's a bit of
right. So I would bet a large majority of shoppers don't find those 7th, 8th, 9th images. But like Margaret said, you just got to make sure your infographics and lifestyles are here. What I do is I try to drive people to buy more than one product at all costs. And so I have a buy 2, get 10% off any of my products. And so those graphics are the ones that I put like at 7 or 8. And so they're not as vital to the purchase, but they're like, I want people to see it so that they can know that there's a discount, which of course that promotion still shows up here under promotions or right here. But that is kind of the risk of having, you know, you don't want to have an image that you want your customer to see as your 7th or 8th if you add a video.
Also, do you repeat the images that are up here on the listing? Do you repeat them down in the A+ content, or do you develop a whole new set of images for this section? Yeah,
so that's a great question. I meant to touch on that, so thanks for whoever asked that. But I try not to, because I think it looks a little bit cheaper if it's like you have like, you know, the same 3 lifestyles here, the exact same ones down here. But I've done it, and it, like, for example, when I said you break down your infographic, like I'll reuse that same image of the wax canvas, like the close-up, down in the small square. But I try when possible to use new images, just because it creates, you know, it just adds more like newness to your company, as opposed like, oh yeah, it's the same image of the guy holding the journal that was up there. And also, most people that are doing that probably aren't resizing the image. And so I would bet that the image is somewhat distorted. But again, it's better than nothing. And so I would urge people to kind of come up with new graphics when possible or applicable. But if you don't have anything as of right now, and it's going to take you 3 weeks to get it, just put something up there to, like, you know, get an A+, you know?
Right. So we have one question. Let's see. So what order do you put your images in at the top? That is hero, info, comparison, lifestyle, etc.
Again, I don't know if there's like a right way necessarily. You have your white background here. A lot of times I'm putting my infographic within the first 4 at least in one lifestyle. And then I typically will have kind of one other white background like this that may show props that I maybe couldn't use in my main image. But a lifestyle and an infographic to me are the most important thing. And so I always have those within the first 4 images, if that makes sense. And I try to have at least, typically most people are going to have one infographic, but I would suggest if you have like 8 selling points to have 2 with 4 on each, because you don't want to like overload an image with text and with, you know, all this stuff. And so keep things simple, and then have at least a couple lifestyle images. Does that make sense? And then, sorry, in your sizing image, yeah, I would put your sizing image. I usually put mine after the infographic in one lifestyle, and then I'll have the sizing image, just because sizing image, like, it's important, but it's not, like, to me as important as like the selling features and like the lifestyle that kind of creates emotion to it. Because a dop kit at the end of the day, like, most people have a general idea of how big a dop kit is. And for me, you know, look, these little size arrows and stuff are cool and all. These are like super boring, by the way, but you know, this doesn't really help me as a visual thinker, like picture it in my hands or something. So to me, that's what like a lifestyle can do just as good, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so someone is saying we are brand registered. Great to see the posts, examples, as we haven't played with that yet. All clear and great info.
Yeah, the post is new.
Yeah.
It's the rollout of that customer engagement is new. So like, I would highly recommend spending some time to figure that out, because I think that's going to be a big part of the future of launching on Amazon.
Yeah. And I've also posted a link in the comments of this live over here. I'd actually done a podcast recently with somebody talking about Amazon posts. So listen to that podcast. And also there's an article on that page that also talks about best practices for Amazon posts. So I've put it in the comments wherever you're watching. Take a look. Let's see if there are any other questions. There's one question from Al Limbesh, but it's about launching products. We find to struggle when we are launching products. Once it has 10 reviews, it is booming, I guess sales boom, but how to get reviews? So how to get the first few initial reviews?
I mean, look, I am probably the worst person to ask on launching. I just honestly don't really pay much attention to all these fancy, you know, rebate methods and all this stuff. I just don't like it. And so I only launch on PPC. And what I do is I budget. I know, like, most people are giving their stuff away anyway, which I don't like. But my theory is, if I have a really good product, like, I'm going to lower the retail point on a launch to where maybe my break-even point, and then I'm also going to give like a $5 coupon. And I'm going to rely on PPC, because PPC gets me to page 1. I just got to pay for it. Again, I'm not claiming to be a launch expert. I'm just telling you I'm not the best person to ask about that, just because I have a simplistic approach. I have a few products launching right now that like I'm breaking even, if not losing a tad bit of money, but I'm getting good sales velocity and I'm starting to get reviews. So I just personally don't try the whole family and friends thing anymore because Amazon is pretty good at like figuring that out. And so, if you're in a network of sellers, you can utilize maybe some people there, but I just try to only stick to I just try to play by the rules and, PPC only, coupons, and then over time reviews will come. That's my methodology, but again, everyone is probably cringing in their seat. This guy's an idiot, so whatever.
Well, I think the other thing they can do if they want to, which is safe, is to use the Vine program, which for those of you who don't know what that is, Amazon actually have like a bank of reviewers that they approve. You register for the Vine program and you can have up to 30 reviews they will let you get. But you have to give away the product. So basically you sign up for it. Amazon then will start sending your product to their reviewers for free. And look, you probably get, if you ask for 10, you'll probably get 7 or 8 reviews, and they're usually really good. A lot of them are very high ranking reviewers from Amazon. But I mean, if you've got a really bad product, I wouldn't do it. I'd make sure you've got a product that you're going to get a decent review for, because they are very critical reviewers. But I think it does work if you're prepared to do that and you really want to get some reviews in a hurry. It only takes a couple of weeks and they'll start coming through. So that is one way, and it's free at the moment. They don't charge for the Vine program except your product. So
I could be wrong. I think I may be remembering wrong because I use Vine as well. Aren't they? They're getting rid of Vine, aren't they?
No, they've got rid of what was the
early reviewer program?
Early reviewer program. That's gone.
Right. Yeah, so I use Vine on stuff. There. Vine's really good, but like Margaret said, you want to. They're honest. They write really good reviews, but don't do it if you have a crappy product. But yeah, Vine's pretty cool, but it's kind of like they pick and choose. So like you can give 30 units away, but they may like not go all at once. Like it'll probably be a trickle effect. Someone may you'll see a order one day that was $0. Like why is this thing free? And that was probably a Vine customer choosing it. So.
Right. Okay, so do you want to move on to Storefront?
Yes, so Storefront, a lot of the module building is very similar, but there's just a little bit of differences. So this is a random company out of Arkansas that I know, and I just found I think they have a pretty good storefront, but they have a lot of different products. So your product may not, I tried to find a storefront of like a one product company, and the only one I could think of I didn't want to show here just because of privacy stuff. So your storefront won't probably be this, in depth, but it's still a really good like format of how to do like your homepage. Because at the end of the day, if you look at your stats on your storefront, I mean, most people are going to end up on your homepage and not, click through to all your other pages. And so the homepage is really important to really get your like heavy hitter products out there. And then you can also add videos. Videos are great. And there's 2 types of video. You can have a video like this, but you can also have like a looping video. I'm actually in the process of adding one to my storefront that it's just like a 2 to 20 second video that it just loops. So it's like if you can showcase a few products each few seconds and your customer can kind of see that as they scroll. And so, but yeah, this is kind of a decent storefront in my opinion. They've got good content, good products. And then they've got, the different categories to scroll through. Like if I'm just looking for a certain product, and I'll show you how to build that. This is a random one I found. And the other thing to know is they could have one of their products here. I don't know if they do. Maybe that's it. But if you're like a home decor company, don't be afraid to like use lifestyle images from Shutterstock that even if it like doesn't have your product in it, as long as it's giving the vibe that your brand and your product gives off, I think it's fine in these banners to just show some really, because the odds are these are going to be way better aesthetically pleasing images than you just taking something on like it at your home. And so you're trying to create an aesthetic with your storefront, not necessarily showcasing your product in every single image. You don't want to be like too salesy, if that makes sense, at least in my opinion. But the one thing I didn't love about this store, sorry if you're sitting here in this webinar, but it's just a lot. Like if you go through the homepage, it is like a ton of stuff. And so, you know, some of their like like this part looks pretty good, but at the same time, it's like, holy mess, man. Like I don't need to scroll through your whole catalog on the main page. So again, maybe that's just a nitpicky thing, but overall, like I think it's a pretty decent store, and they've got their, you know, different categories here. So without ado, let me take you to the builder. So I've just got some product. This is a brand I used to manage. They don't really care about Amazon, but I just put some graphics on there just to put some placeholder stuff. This is going to be your like image banner. And this is kind of like you pretty much need someone to kind of make something here because it's a 3000 by 600 pixel ratio, like minimum, which is a very like thin picture. So this is what I was talking about. If you upload like a square image here, this is what you're going to get. And so this is why you really need someone to help you size stuff correctly to make your storefront look really good. Just because it's kind of an awkward ratio that most people aren't, you know, creating that for you from in your product images. And again, similar to the EBC, like you want your storefront to have a lot, in my opinion, have a lot of like lifestyle images and like of the product in action. I just think it creates like an aesthetically, like you just don't want to put like a bunch of like, here you can put your product. And so if you type the ACE in here, so let me mess around with this. I just want to give you guys an idea of like how to work this stuff. So, and so this is your title and your description, and you don't have a lot of room here to put a lot of text, very minimal text, or Amazon will like cut it off. And then you can also play around with the positions of it. So depending on what your lifestyle photo looks like, here's the size of this one. And so if you take this off, oh, sorry, no, this one you have to have text. So perfect gift for him, great t-shirt, blah, blah, blah. You can change like the size of it. You can change the alignment, the position. So like based on what your lifestyle image is, you don't want this blocking the image, obviously. So you want to try to make sure that you're designing these with these text boxes in mind. And so maybe you'd have an image where your focus is on the left side, so that way your box can be on the right. And so, but here is where you can add like your, like if you want, this is, I like adding the tiles. So I try to create like a big tile, 2 small tiles, and like I'm putting my product detail page here, or you can put a shoppable image, which is pretty cool, or it's like a lifestyle image. And so they can hover over the product in use and be taken to the detail page. But then I like to show the product that I'm putting here in these other tiles, like just showing different lifestyle images that focus on kind of my main like heavy hitter products. And then down here, I do a little bit of brand stuff where I kind of have just like little mini tiles that talk about, hey, ethically sourced straight from the artisans who earn fair wages, and put some images of me maybe at the factory or something like that, something that puts an identity. These modules are pretty easy to do right here because, here, let me delete this and then add it back in here so you can get an idea of what that looks like. So you can add a new section. These are the different modules that you can put on there. This is the video and background. This is the looping video. And then you can have like a product grid, and that's where you can manually choose which ASINs you want to show. You can do a gallery, you can do best-selling products, and Amazon will just automatically like put whatever are your best sellers. So it's that's a little bit easy to build because it's like, boom, done. Amazon does that. And it kind of showcases a few of your products. And the one thing to note about the videos to keep in mind, if you're having someone do videos, I want you all to know this up front. So when you work with a company, you can have these specifications. But your video parameters are a little bit different than your product listing. You can't upload as big of a file here and even like the size of the image to really make it look, good on Amazon. And you can upload a cover image. But so pay attention to this stuff, because that is what you'll need to like tell your person who's making this, or if you're doing it yourself. This is the loop video, and it's a slightly different as well, 2 to 20 seconds in length. And that's a good loop, so you can like showcase several products, or you can do a lifestyle. Actually, sorry, I've got ADD. I just realized that I don't know if they still have the storefront that I made for them. This was one of the videos we added to their storefront. A lot of this company has a lot of great content already, but it's just kind of a looping video that kind of gives an idea of who their target market is and people using their products. They've got a lot of different products, but it's a really cool video. And like something like this is what you really want to kind of be the first thing your customer interacts with. See, it just loops, it just restarted. But like graphics like this, these big graphics really help kind of create the brand in your customer's mind. And here it's not necessarily about, well, I don't want to say it's not about selling, but it's about, creating stunning visuals like this that really, want the customer to click through and look at all you got. And so here we kind of get down to like different product detail pages they can do. But we really wanted to focus on the brand with the first part of their storefront. And this is an example, like this was a square image here because we didn't do any of these photos, but we just, cropped it to that size. And it doesn't look, terrible. I wouldn't say it's like the best image ever, but it's just an easy little banner image that kind of goes with the exploring idea of this brand. Okay, so this is how you can if you ever done like a MailChimp newsletter, it's kind of a similar idea. You can drag and drop the formatting of this. So if you add a video down here that you want to be first, you just drag it up to the top. And then that will be the first thing that's shown. And this is how you go in and edit like these tile modules, text, image, text, all that kind of stuff. And then this is how you create pages. So if you want to, like you'll have your home page, of course. And if you have different product categories, like if you see here under books, they have Christmas prayers to share. So they would have Christmas here, and then you would drag this underneath that, and that gives you that little drop-down menu. And you can keep adding to it if you want. Sorry. But this is what it looks like to create a page. And so again, even if you have one product, this is still ideal, and you can just showcase like one product. So like product highlight, you can pick different templates, and it's kind of a pre-made deal to add a product to. And so that can be pretty cool. But then once you create the page, it may add it to one of these sections here, but that's how you edit your own menu there, is you just drag it here and there. And you can create different like categories and subcategories so that people can easily navigate through your brand store.
Now, and with that, Aaron, too, if somebody has just got one product, I think it's a great opportunity, especially for those sourcing from India with the villages or something, to add a video, and you can virtually fill a page up with one product and your brand story and some videos and things about how that product's made. And as you grow your product, you can just trim another one in and move it around a bit. I think it's a great opportunity. Just because, a lot of people say to me, I've only got one product. Why would I want a storefront? But why not?
Yeah, even if you had one product, it's like if you had something like this that just had different images of your product in motion, it's going to protect your brand a lot more. And look, you just need a homepage. You don't have to have all these other pages. Keep it simple in the beginning and just have one really good page versus trying to spread it all out and feel like you have to have 20 pages when you don't. And so let me go ahead and go through this last part, and then I'll take questions on Storefront after, but just some kind of do's and don'ts of what to expect when you approach a company. So like I said, you get what you pay for in the world. Like you can go to Fiverr, and I'm not knocking Fiverr, you can find good designers there. But what I've noticed with different companies, like I try to be as transparent as possible. Like I don't want someone coming to me and then finding out halfway through the process that something was not what they expected. So for example, like we use stock images. We don't do real lifestyle shoots. If you want to do that, you have to pay a lot of money to some companies. We are trying to be a budget-friendly like photography company. And most of the time, stock images look better than the actual real thing if you try to do it yourself. But again, you need to know that up front, because a lot of people get surprised when they're like, oh, it's a stock image. So you get what you pay for. And the tricky thing is with a lot of different agencies out there that do photography, I actually hate this. This is why I put my pricing on my website exactly as it is. Because when you actually look to click like a lifestyle or infographic image, that's where the money is. And so they may say $29 per image. That's for a white background image. When you actually start adding in your lifestyle and infographic images, whether it be for A+, whatever, that's where you start getting charged out the wazoo. And so our pricing is all encompassing. It has infographics and lifestyles included. And we just try to be upfront about all that stuff. And so just a real quick note, this was someone who came to me recently. I took out their name here, but this was someone on Fiverr they paid $250, which were not actually much more than that for just editing the image. We didn't take these images of the product. We just tried to fix what was done, because I mean, it's just almost laughable that someone would take $250 and it looked, kind of like Microsoft Word. It's like white and black with the product copy pasted here. And so even just a simple stock image and just a tiny bit of design here, you have drastically changed the presence of this product. And so that's just kind of get what you pay for. There's a lot of agencies out there who have great websites, but are, I personally, as a brand owner, I wasn't going to spend $1,000 or more on images for when I had like 3 products, So, but the other thing is you need an image roadmap. Most of the companies, they're not gonna try to do it all for you, to do your A+ for you. The reason being is photography is super subjective. And so if I spend all this blood, sweat, and tears designing an A+ for you, and then I'm running the risk of you saying, oh, this is crap, I don't want this. And so you need to have a roadmap of what you're wanting. And that's why going through the modules is really important, because when you approach a company to save money, if you had a roadmap where it's like, hey, image banner, 970-300, this is what I need. Okay, the 4 square image, 220 by 220, this is what I need. That's going to save you time in the process and save you money versus letting someone build something that you already know how to do. You just need to describe to a freelancer or someone, how to edit the image. So we always, whenever people...
Oops, what happened? Did he freeze?
Looks like he's frozen now. We've lost Kevin. Who's Aaron? He's frozen.
Aaron, are you there?
Alan VAs are
trying to reconnect now. Okay, you're back.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah.
Oh, how long was I out for?
Not very long.
Just a couple of seconds. Yeah, just 10 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then what isn't communicated is assumed. You need to, with photography especially, over communicate, because photography is subjective already, and if you don't communicate something, you are the brand owner and the one who spent the hours researching the product. And so if you don't communicate your call outs, for example, if someone sends me a handicraft, mango wood cable organizer, I have a general idea of what it's for, but what are you, you're the one who spent the time to research it and why it's filling a need. And so you have to communicate with your photographer what those selling points are. Otherwise, they just may put keeps your cords clean, when really you're trying to advertise it keeps kids safe. So, and then the other part is expect revisions. we have 2 rounds of revisions with our packages. It's typically part of the process. Whenever customers see their visual for the first time is when their mind starts turning of like, oh, actually, I kind of like this better. But there is a limit because, we've had customers who are never happy, the perfectionists, and they just always want to go back, so that we do have to have a limit. And that's why we try to do as much on the front end to kind of get, so neither of us end up in that situation. It's not good for either one. So I think Megala's posting my contact info. I'm not trying to sit here and say we're the perfect company, but we're a good company for a budget, friendly price. And so if I can't help you, I'll connect you to a different agency that we are partnered with. But I'm here to help. So if you have questions, reach out. I can, do a consultation video, just get over the shoulder, see why your listing's not converting as much as it should. We want to add value. So if we can do that, we'd be more than happy to. But appreciate your time and just for having me on the webinar, Margaret and Megala.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Aaron. That was very comprehensive. So let's see if you have any questions. Okay, Daniel is asking, will Walla team, I like that, Walla team, access my Amazon account and upload all this info directly in my account? How does it work? Could you please tell me more about how you do keyword analysis to create product listings?
Yeah, good question. Just to explain too, I don't want to. Walla is just a person who does a thing. So like a chai walla is like a tea person. So we're the e-commerce wallas. I understand it may not be super easy to understand, but we just love the name. So, but to answer your question, so we can do that. Typically, we're only doing that for clients who are ordering like a lot of these packages, like the A+ content. And so, not right now. Work from home life.
Such a daughter.
No, my daughter's still sleeping, but that's the neighbor kid. We're on lockdown, so he comes over all the time. So everyone understands. I don't need to keep embarrassed, but
yeah.
So we can go in and do that. It's a little bit of an ordeal for someone to order one A+ and to have us go in and do it. I can show you how to do it, but if you're ordering multiple things, it may make sense for us to do it. I just always encourage the owner to at least have the understanding of how to do it, and then our team is more than happy to do it. But the thing is, you don't want to be relying on me anytime. And I've had this happen with someone who manages accounts, actually. They're so busy, they never took the time to figure out how to actually edit A+. And anytime they needed one word changed, I had to go in and do it. And so we want you to have the understanding of like how to do those basic changes, but we can do that. And then a keyword analysis, we use a couple of different methods. Like I follow Brandon Young a lot. He's got good stuff, and we follow his method to get relevant keywords. So we use Helium 10, and we also use merchant words. But we do like reverse ASIN searches on your top competitors, put it in the spreadsheet, find the relevant terms, and we're using those keywords to build out like your listing. And so I think most people get that pretty much. Is that kind of answering the question? Or?
Daniel, does that answer your question? Maybe you can contact Aaron directly.
Yeah, I've got some examples of copies we've done that I can send people, like a portfolio. And that just gives you an idea. Like, the main thing is the relevant keywords, not just the high volume, because you don't want to go after high volume words that don't convert. And so we try to balance that out when we create listings and stuff. Right.
So this is Jackie. She's saying, thank you, Aaron. Just what I needed to know about Storefront and more about A+. So yeah, Jackie was actually one of the sellers who had asked for this content. So glad you're here, Jackie.
I'm glad someone found it useful. That's all I care about.
Okay, so guys, we're going to start wrapping up the webinar. Let us know in the comments if you have any more questions for Aaron before we start wrapping up. So Aaron, what are some of the common, mistakes you see people making when it comes to A+ and Storefront?
I would say the common mistakes are not sizing your images properly, like you're just recycling images from your deck to put up there, and so they're distorted, like they're not the right ratio. But then I would also say, again, maybe I'm too hard on a perfectionist, but get something up there. Like, it'll evolve over time, but don't, people get so stuck. I work with students through a different group, and people get so paralyzed by all the choices and things. And so, get it up there, get the reaction, I just relaunched a second product because I was getting a few negative reviews on the design aspect. So it is what it is. I got it up there as quick as possible. I started getting sales. I got positive reviews, but I've now redesigned the product and I'm relaunching it based on the feedback. So you can't get that on Helium 10. Like that is only through, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Something just went out, but that's only through getting something out there and getting your actual customer to tell you what they like and don't like.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, so looks like there are no more questions from anybody. So yeah, all of you watching, if you have any questions, if you want to reach out to Aaron to ask about his services or get more information about A+ Storefront, that's his email address. And Aaron is, of course, also in our Facebook group, in the India Sourcing Facebook group. So in case you want to reach out to him there, just look up his name, message him, tag him in a post. He's available. Okay, cool.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on.
Yeah,
No
thanks a lot
worries.
for
Yeah,
joining
look,
us.
No, and I think
Go ahead,
that's
Mark.
great. Everyone should have got some good information from this. And look, as Aaron said, if you like, Aaron's prices are quite reasonable. I think I've seen all his prices and his work, and it's really good. But if you don't want to spend that money, you can do it yourself. You have to sit down and dedicate a day to it. I've done all my own. It's not that difficult. I'm not that tech savvy, and I've managed to do it. And I've resized the images. I've done it all. But it's just putting your head down and doing it. If you've got your keyword research and your listing, you can sort of work off it all. I think you've just got to get your head around it and look at your opposition and see what they've got.
Mm-hmm.
You don't copy them, but so many good ideas out there. And but if you've got the money and you don't want to do it, Aaron's the man. And I mean, especially if you're sourcing from India, your product's already in India, so you don't have to ship it across the world. So that's one good thing, that you can get it sent from your manufacturer down to Aaron, and it's there in a couple of days. So that's one other plus, that you're not sort of spending a lot of money getting it to somebody to have done.
Right. So Aaron, do you also want to tell people where you're located, where your studio is? I mean, compared to how far is it from where most of the products are manufactured? Let's say Moradabad, Jaipur, those main production centers.
Yeah, I mean, we're in Hyderabad, which is pretty centrally located in India. But the thing is, if you're in India anywhere, I mean, the DHL and everything is pretty fast. We get samples within days. And we also have the ability to receive samples in China as well. The only thing about the China office is that we're not doing product videos there. It's just images. And then our team in India does the editing. So the preferred method, especially if you do videos and stuff, is to get your sample to India. But we also can take existing images and edit them. We don't love doing that because we're stuck with what you give us. And so there's some, degree of my hands cupped, but we do that as well, because I understand getting stuff in India, if you're not sourcing there, may be a tad difficult. So.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, Aaron, thanks a lot. We'll see you around. Take care.
All right. Y'all
Thanks,
have a good
Aaron.
one.
Okay.
Stay safe
Bye.
over there. Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday. And our topic for next Wednesday is bundles. We've got somebody who's going to be talking about how to sell bundles on Amazon. That should be interesting, right, Mark?
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. Yeah, something different. We
Absolutely.
discussed
And
very much at all.
Yeah, yeah. And before we go, we just want to remind everyone that we're having our charity sing-a-thon this Friday or Saturday, depending on where you are joining us from. So if you're in the US, it's Friday evening. And if you're in Asia or Australia, it's 10 a.m. Saturday. It's a live and virtual charity sing-a-thon where over 15 singers from around the world are going to be performing live. And we're all coming together to raise funds for a charity organization in India called Dipalia to help a lot of the underprivileged families who are affected by COVID. So go ahead to this URL, facebook.com/India Sourcing Network. There's an event over there for the sing-a-thon. Go and click going or interested on the event, and you'll receive a notification when we are going live. And join us and just enjoy the music and
Yeah,
helps.
can't wait
Yeah.
for that day.
Exactly. And help some people. There's also a donation link over there. So whatever you can donate, every bit counts, whether it's, $5, $10, $20. And if you are a company, then we also have a sponsorship option. So if you donate $300 or more, we'll give you a shout out on the event. And we'll just show your logo and talk a little bit about your company and give you a shout out. So if you're a company, reach out to us and do a little bit of good, get some good karma. Right. Daniel says, can't wait to hear some Bollywood songs, maybe a Gajini song. Yeah, Daniel, absolutely. And there are a lot of singers from Australia, US, UK, so there's going to be mostly English songs, but there's of course Indian languages like Hindi, Bengali, and Punjabi, like a lot of different Indian languages too, so it should be fun. Okay, so we will see you. Cultural Day, yes, absolutely. Okay, so then we will see you on over the weekend. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.